Hello everyone, welcome to TripAdvisor Tabletop Tuesday edition. Today we'll be looking at the popular award-winning game Splendor, 2 to 4 player game in which each player in the game assumes the role of a gemstone merchant during the Renaissance, as each player competes with the others to acquire the most rewarding and attractive gems. As per usual, we'll pop it out of the box, we'll take it to the table, I'll walk you through how it works, so pull up a chair, join me at the table as we explore Splendor. Okay, very quickly, here's all the components of Splendor out of the box. You've got basic rulebook, easy to read, simple, one page, literally front and back. You'll have 3 decks of cards, blue, gold, and green, and you'll need those to be separated into the 3 colors. You've also got this stack of cards labeled Splendor. On the other side, you see a variety of noble men and women. I'll explain them shortly. And you've got all these poker chips, which are the jewels, the gemstones you'll be collecting throughout the course of the game. You've got your red rubies, your emeralds, your diamonds, your onyx, your sapphire, and a smaller stack of these yellow ones, which serve as sort of like a wild card or wild gem. So that's all the components. Let's get to the setup now. All right, well, here's an initial setup for Splendor. It plays 2 to 4 players, and I'm setting up for a 4-player game today. And so the first thing I do is I separate the development cards into their 3 colors with 3 values. And after shuffling those up, you're going to stack them. You're going to create 3 rows of 4. So the bottom row will be 4 green cards I will reveal, and then the middle tier I'll reveal 4 of the gold color development cards, and the top tier I'll finally reveal 4 of the blue colored cards. No matter what amount of player count, this is the setup with the development cards here. Then I'm going to take all of those noble cards, these ones here, and depending on the player count, you're going to reveal 3, 4, or 5, one more than the number of players. So because I'm setting up for a 4-player game, I will reveal 5 of those noble tiles above my 3 rows. And lastly, you just keep all of the gems within reach of all players. They will be collected and spent during the course of the game. In a 4-player game that I'm setting up for, you'll use them all. In a 3-player game, you'll want to remove 2 tokens of each color. The yellow color, you always keep all of them in play, the wild cards. Just remove 2 of all the other colors. And in a 2-player game, you'll want to remove 3 of each of those colors. And that's all it takes to set up. Okay, let's talk about how the gameplay and the flow of the game works. Splendor is what we would call an engine building game. Meaning we're going to be acquiring these tokens here and using them to purchase these development cards. And the more development cards in your possession, the greater your engine becomes, and the greater the ability to accumulate prestige points. A number of ways to acquire prestige points. You'll notice on some of the cards you see a point value. So this card here on the lower tier, this is worth a single point. As you get up to the middle tier, most of them are worth 1 or 2 points. And when you get up to the top tier, those are worth 3, 4, or 5 points. However, you can't start by buying these because of the cost. The cost is labeled on the bottom of each card. So for instance, if I wanted to purchase this card, it's worth 4 points, but it costs 7 of the gemstones. So I would have to have 7 red gemstones in my possession, or a combination of red gems and these joker tokens, these yellow joker tokens, in order to purchase that card. So typically early on in the game, you're going to be collecting the tokens and you're going to be buying off the bottom tier to start building your engine. So beginning with the youngest player, how play works is every player's turn you'll have 4 options. 4 options you can do on your turn. More often than not, you are collecting these gems. So 2 ways you can collect gems. On your turn, you can collect 3 gem tokens of different colors. Of the 5 colors, the jokers are separate. So I can, for example, if I've got my eye on this one here in the bottom and I want to work towards purchasing that potentially, well, it's going to cost me As I can see here, it's going to cost me a white, 2 blue, a green, and a red. So I could grab a red, I could grab a green, I can grab a blue, and that would be my turn. I would just put those in front of me. You have to keep all of those tokens visible to all other players at all times, and that would be one option on my turn. The other option, if I didn't want to necessarily take 3 different colors, I could take 2 of the same color. So perhaps if I'm working towards purchasing this one, it costs 2 blue and 1 red. Maybe I'd simply want to take 2 blue tokens on my turn. That's an option as well. A third option is to reserve one of the development cards. So perhaps you see a card up top that you can't afford currently, but potentially you're going to work towards it. You don't want anybody else to take it. So you can simply reserve it. To reserve it, you simply, let's say I wanted to reserve this one here. I simply identify the card I want to reserve, I take it, and I also get a Joker token as well. And I put the Joker token on the card, and I put it in my possession along with my other cards to show the other players that that card is reserved. I am able to use this Joker token anytime, but it's important you keep this card away from the card you've already purchased to signify it has not been purchased, but it's been merely reserved. So that is the third option on your player turn. And the fourth option is simply to purchase one of the 12 development cards in play. So for example, if I had 2 blue and a green in my possession, I could simply cash those in on my turn. I return them to their stacks in exchange for this particular card. Now, you might be asking, why would I want to buy this card? It's not worth any points, and that's a good observation. But the reality is, not only are you looking for points, but again, you're looking to build an engine. And this is where the gems on the top come into play. So you see on this particular card, this card is a red ruby. And just to use my previous example, if I've reserved this card earlier, it's going to require 7 rubies. It's going to require a lot of work to get 7 rubies in my possession. It's unlikely I'll be able to actually get 7 rubies tokens because there's only 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's only 7 of them total. So it might be pretty close to impossible to acquire 7 to purchase this card I've reserved. But that's why I want this card, because this, for the rest of the game, for the remainder of my game, this is synonymous, this is equal with having 1 red token in my possession. So if I'm able to acquire a number of cards with the red jewel on the top, let's say I had 3 with jewels, then I would only need 4 tokens, red tokens, or these Joker wildcard tokens to be able to purchase the card I had reserved previously in the game. Whenever a card is reserved or purchased, a new card replaces the blank one in the stack, and play continues in that fashion. Just a couple of other rules that are important to keep in mind as you're playing clockwise. Again, 4 options. 3 tokens of a different color, 2 tokens of the same color, reserving a card, and taking a wild card, or a Joker tile, excuse me, as well as the card you're reserving, or purchasing one of the cards with the required amount of jewels, either on the tokens or on the tops of the cards that you've already purchased. A couple rules about purchasing. You can never have more than 10 jewels, jokers included, in your possession. If at any time taking jewels, either 2 of the same color or 3 different, causes you to go above 10 in your possession, you simply have to discard any of these tokens of your choosing down to the maximum ceiling of 10. Also, if anytime a stack gets 4 or lower, you're unable to grab 2 of the same color from that stack. So if I wanted red, but there was only 3 left in the red stack, I'm unable to take 2 red. I can take 1 with 2 other colors, but I can't take 2. Also, remember, the Joker tiles, those are only given when you reserve cards. You can't choose those as part of your 2 from the same stack or 3 different colors. Obviously, people would be going for those ones all the time. The other thing I need to talk about a little bit are these noble people. This is the other way that you can collect prestige points. You'll be getting the majority of your points from building your engine to slowly be working up to getting these more expensive cards. But the other way you can get points is when these noblemen and women come and visit you. So for example, this gentleman here, how that happens, you'll see on his card, there's 3 black, 3 red, and 3 green labeled here. That means if I have 3 cards with green gems on them, 3 cards with black gems on them, and 3 cards with red gems on them, immediately, without taking an action, that particular nobleman will come to visit me, giving me an additional, in this case, 3 points. So you want to keep one eye on what you're collecting here and trying to build an engine that flows, and you'll also be trying to potentially get 1 or 2 of these noble people to come and visit you throughout the course of the game. When a player reaches 15 prestige points through card value, as well as any nobles that have come to visit, that triggers the last round. At that point, you will complete the current round so that each player in the game has played the same number of turns, after which the player who has the highest number of prestige points is declared the winner. In the case of a tie, the player who has purchased the fewest development cards wins. And that's how you play Splendor. All right, well, that's Splendor in a nutshell. Quick little walkthrough, and it's not a difficult one to pick up. It is a popular, award-winning, sort of basic engine-building game. I just want to point out this little symbol on the box, and also the symbol on this box 2 weeks ago. A couple weeks ago, I reviewed King Domino, and you may have noticed this red symbol on the box. That is the prestigious German Game of the Year award, the Spiel des Jahres. So keep your eyes open whenever you see award-winning games in particular, if you're unsure of what game to purchase or add to your collection. You can look for those award-winning games, and I'll review many more of those here on the channel. In particular, this award here, the Golden Geek Award that was given to Splendor, that award is given from the curators of Board Game Geek. And they have a website called simply boardgamegeek.com. That's a great website. That's probably the one and only website you'll need to know about when you're considering which games to purchase. They have a library basically of tens of thousands of games. Basically every game imaginable that's ever been created is housed there with reviews and feedback and artwork and pictures about the game. So you can do your research before buying this or any other game here on the channel, and that's a good place to go to do the research. So let me give a few final thoughts for the game, as well as a quick score on the report card, as I typically do. Let's start, as we always do, with the theme. I like the theme. It's not my favorite theme, but it works for me. The sort of Renaissance period where you assume the role of this sort of gemstone merchant. The theme is solid, if not spectacular, and I give it a B. The aesthetics actually add value to the theme and the game. As I hope that you see on the table, the game really does pop. The artwork on the cards is better than average. The component quality is great. I mean, the card value is okay. You may want to consider sleeving those cards with card sleeves if you want to play this game often. The noble cards, thick cardboard, good artwork again. But my favorite part is these poker chips. They're actually literally like a regular poker chip quality with the gems on them, and they really aesthetic, they just feel nice in your hand, and they look nice on the table. So aesthetically, I give the score for Splendor an A-. As far as replayability, this is a game, this is one of a short list of games that for our family of 4, we pull out semi-regularly or with friends. It is quite replayable. It doesn't get stale right away because there's so many cards in play, and each game won't be the same. Each game will be different because there'll be different cards in play, and you'll look at different strategies on how to build your engine. So that adds to the replayability of the game, and I'll give it a B for its replayability. As far as the game length and the game flow, on the box it says 30 minutes long, and that's about right. I think I've seen some games go faster than that, but most games are 30 to 40 minutes. Again, like I've said before, and I'll say again, with any sort of strategy game of this nature, they can go as fast as the players around the table are making their decisions. What can be a challenge for this one is if someone has a bad case of what we call in the board game world AP, analysis paralysis. So you're just sitting there weighing your options for what seems like an eternity, which can slow the game down. So of course, in between turns, my advice would be, like any game like this, just have plan A in mind and plan B in mind as well. So the game flow, though, is pretty good. As long as you have players that are taking turns in a timely fashion, the game does last between 30 to 40 minutes. And so I'll give the game flow and game length a B as well. Ease of play, I hope my review, as brief as it was, just showed you just how simple this game is to learn. The rule book literally is just a couple of pages, and the setup is simple, the gameplay is simple. Basically, you're just taking those combination of 4 different actions on your turn. The only thing to keep in mind is to keep in mind not only how many gems you have in your possession, but how many of the cards you have in your possession with the gem colors on them, and to bear that in mind when you're purchasing cards. It says age 10 and up on the box, and my kids have been playing this even at a younger age. If you have a pretty sharp 7 or 8-year-old, I think they'll be all right with this game, with some parental guidance, certainly teaching them the game. And so this is a good one if you've got children that age. My children have got a lot of play out of this one, and it's a solid family game. I also play this with other couples. We play it at our camp from time to time. So the ease of play really adds value to the game, and I give it a B+. As far as the tactics and strategy, even though it is an easy game to learn and play, you'd be surprised at the little bit of depth and strategy that is involved. You're not just blindly buying and picking cards. It's an engine game. So you really need to give some thought to, okay, if I buy that card, that unlocks this card in the higher tier, and potentially maybe getting this card in the higher tier. Or how long do I want to wait for that card in the highest tier? Somebody else might snatch it from me, so maybe I need to reserve it early on. The cool thing about this game is you're not really doing damage directly to the other players. You're building your own engine, but you want to keep one eye on what everybody else is up to around the table. So you can sort of block their plans, take the cards they want, take the gemstones they want, try and take those out of play so they can't purchase any more of that color. So there's a surprisingly amount of tactics and strategy and depth to this game. For a game that's easy to learn and easy to play, it's quite a strategic game, and I give it a B+ overall for the tactics and strategy. So overall, this is a solid entry-level engine building game for families, and I give it a B+ overall. Well, that's a wrap. Thank you once again for joining me here at TripAdvisor on a Tabletop Tuesday. If Splendor is a game that you think you or family or friends would enjoy, maybe wander over to BoardGameGeek.com and take a look. You can purchase this game wherever games are sold in your neighborhood, in your city, or your online retailers. Also, as always, you can give me your feedback. If you have any questions or comments, or you have a game that you'd like me to review here on the channel, let me know in the comments or shoot me an email. Always looking for your feedback and appreciate it. As always, also, you can like, you can share, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and be notified whenever I share a new video here on the channel. Not only my Tabletop Tuesday videos, but also my Theology Thursday videos, as well as my Film Friday videos. So thank you once again for supporting the channel. Thank you for tracking along with me. Hey, whatever game is hitting your table today or this week, I hope you enjoy it. Game on.